Hi everyone, I'm Vipindeep. Along with me, we have Abhishek. We are research managers in Microsoft Search Assistance and Intelligence team in Office 365. And today we are going to demo a user-centric graph for building intelligence and meeting insight scenario. Here is a high-level agenda. We are going to set some context of the connected world and the concept of user graph, followed by a quick demo of this framework and leave you with the future potential of compliant graph learning. If you think about the user's digital ecosystem in the modern world, it's an implicit graph. The user is the center of the entire ecosystem, and the content of the user, or the entities as we call us, is spread across multiple places. They are in your documents, and the documents themselves are your PowerPoint files, Excel files, Word documents. You're interacting with people. We have conversations in emails, Teams, Yammer, so on and so forth. On top of which, there's a lot of tasks, topics, and memberships. All this can be termed as knowledge. And if you think about it closely, right, everything is connected, right? The user themselves are connected with the documents they have authored. The documents are connected with the people those documents are shared with. The people are themselves connected with the emails they have sent, the conversations they are part of, so on and so forth. So the entire ecosystem, or the digital ecosystem, and the entities in the user's universe, everything is connected. And that's what we are calling it as a user graph. So the concept of user graph is nothing but taking all the entities of the user's digital ecosystem, which are technically spread in multiple places, connecting them together using relations, and having this framework that is accessible only for that user for deriving knowledge and providing assistance through productivity and intelligence. That's what the user graph is all about. In a nutshell, a graph is nothing but a set of nodes, relationships, and metadata, right? In the context of user graph in O365 or Office or productivity applications, the nodes are nothing but your emails, documents, or knowledge like topics, people, etc. The relationships are the way they are connected with one another. To summarize, the user graph, the code name is what we call as AI graph in O365. It's a user-centric, heterogeneous, in-memory graph of the user's data. And we source this data from multiple sources, as I explained, meetings, emails, teams, so on and so forth. And this graph provides an efficient access to entities, the relationships that exist between these entities, and the knowledge. And everything is served at runtime by using real-time graph walks with low latencies. And the power of this graph can be harnessed through graph algorithms like random walks, representation learning like graph embeddings, or graph clustering. Let's get into a quick demo of the user graph and the potential of this graph learning. So what you're going to see is a user graph of this presenter. So in this slide or in this diagram, you actually see a real user graph of me as a user in my O365 ecosystem. The way you should look at this particular graph on the left-hand side is all my data from emails, documents, etc. are combined together in this graph construct. Every node in this graph represents an entity. For example, the green color node represents topics. The orange color node represents documents. Gray color node represents email. So if you think this magical construct of graph, right, everything is connected with one another. Now the magic happened in the background. We constructed this graph and created all these relationships implicitly. And think about this, right? We are creating this user level graphs for every user in the enterprise world. And we are doing it in a privacy preserved compliant manner. And the power of this graph comes into life when we actually slice and dice this graph for different scenarios. Let me give an example. So you have seen this graph. Now what we can do is we can slice this entire graph. So my graph would contain 100,000 nodes. But what I can do is slice this graph on a given entity. In this case, what I'm going to do or demo is basically take an entity called topic, meeting insights, right? What I'm going to do is slice my entire graph using this. We get this initial node, which is a topic node. Then with the power of the graph, we can do first level of unwinding. What we get is all the emails, documents, and meetings, which are having this topic called meeting insights. This is the first level of unwinding. The second level of unwinding gives me more information like the people that these documents are related to, so on and so forth. And then if you do third level of unwinding, the graph gives, the graph explodes and you actually get all the contextual information which is centered around the entity of interest, in this case, a topic called meeting insights. So what we have seen so far is taking my entire user graph of 100,000 nodes, and we have pivoted this graph or sliced this graph on a topic called meeting insights. So this is a contextualized and personalized graph on for a user on a given entity. Now, once you have this contextualized representation, you can do a bunch of things like random walks, like personalized page rank. You can get entity to entity recommendations, so on and so forth. So think about this as a framework that you can use for providing search relevance or candidates for search results, etc. Another manifestation of the graph learning is you have the entire graph at your disposal. For every user, you have the user graph, right? So what we can do is we can run a bunch of algorithms like graph clustering and identify the entities of interest which are grouped together. For example, so left-hand side shows again my user graph, all my entities in a single graph. We have run graph clustering on top of it. So we were able to identify the entities which are related to one another. And this cluster represents my graph engineering team, the people, the documents and emails. This cluster represents the graph sciences team, all the experiments that we do on the graph and all the folks who are working on this, the documents they authored or the meetings we attended, so on and so forth. So this is to give you a glimpse of the fact that once you have the graph at a user level, we can do magic on top of this graph, be it entity to entity recommendation or providing these kinds of insights like graph clusters or top nodes, etc. And everything is done at O365 scale. And to reiterate, all this is done in a privacy preserved compliant manner. So now to show the potential of this graph, I'm going to ask my colleague Abhishek, who is going to demo a real scenario which we have shipped recently using this technology. Over to you, Abhishek.
Yeah, so thanks, Vipin. I'm not going to talk about Meeting Insights, which is a feature that is designed to help meetings be more effective to all of our M365 customers. The aim of this feature is to give you content related to your meeting, so emails and files related to your meeting so that you can go into your meeting or look back at the meeting better prepared. And the way we implemented this experience is we take the meeting and then we queryfy the meeting. So we extract the key people and key phrases or engrams from the meeting subject and body, use that to create a search query, which we then run against Microsoft Search APIs to get candidates, which are then rescored based on like more features. So this is the way we originally implemented this. And in the next slide, I'm going to show you how we can also use some of the ideas that we just discussed about graphs to improve the relevance and the coverage of this feature even more. So let's look into that. So to do this, we're going to use the AI graph functionality that Vipin talked about. I'm going to use AI graph to generate more candidates. So the way we do things is we take the meeting node, and then we'll extract the key phrases and the key people from that meeting, and I'm going to do a graph walk around this. So let's take a look. So we have a meeting here. The subject's called Weekly Technical Dialogue with Nitin. We unroll the graph. We get the people in the meeting, and we get the key phrases associated with the content in this meeting. So that's one round of unrolling. You can keep unrolling the graph like Vipin described earlier, and we get more and more nodes. And as we roll it out, we get even a bigger subgraph. Once we have the subgraph, we can run algorithms to do scoring of the nodes in context of the meeting node. And then we can feed those additional candidates to the same ranker and then get improved candidate suggestions. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Abhishek, for demoing the Meeting Insights scenario. Just to conclude, right, what you have seen is the potential of the graph learning and one scenario that benefited from this, graph learning applications and AI graph. But world is getting more and more connected. The intelligence and knowledge is key for the future of productivity. And we see the graph learning, which is pivoted on user-centric approaches, as a key enabler for this intelligence. What we have seen so far is the user graph, which is a scalable, privacy-preserving, compliant graph framework we have created in Office 365. And we are trying to advance the technology and research in this area of graph learning through graph walks, graph-based embeddings, clustering, and more. And we are using this graph technology to ship more user value and productivity for the customers in a privacy-preserved and compliant manner. Please go ahead and look into the MSCI blogs and O365 productivity suite to get more insights into what we are building and how we are building. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.